Oh boy. Alright, so when this figure was originally teased, everybody thought that we were finally gonna get a 1991 Godzilla. However, most of us thought we were gonna get the Hokkaido landing version. You see, I never quite understood until recently that there was actually a difference in suits used in Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah 1991. There's the Hokkaido landing version, which is the Ultra Giga Chad Godzilla, and there's the Shinjuku Decisive Battle version, which is complemented with close-ups of the animatronic and isn't really seen too often. It happens in the latter portion of the movie in the climatic fight with Mecha King Ghidorah in Shinjuku. Yes, that's where the final Decisive Battle version comes from. Same with the Mecha King Ghidorah that was released recently. I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? A lot of us were a little disappointed. Honestly, I was quite disappointed that we didn't get the actual Hokkaido landing version, but I guess we'll just have to wait for Hiya Toys to take that one head on, since Tamashii Nations decided to drop this one instead. Now, when you look at the actual box, you got a lot of grays going on here. You got the classic style box that we've kind of gotten used to. Mine got a little dinged up apparently by the Yuji Sakai portion. Yeah, I wish they would translate this, but we'll never know. And I'm not using Google Translate. Go to Steven for that. Here we have some promotional shots of the figure in question, and this is a controversial one because a lot of people were quite disappointed with the final version. And I don't know honestly what to say. I haven't opened him up yet, but I know I'll have an opinion when I do. So yeah, the box looks good. Got the blue font and everything, which is good because that's the color scheme that I'm going to go for with the thumbnail. And yeah, listen, I don't hate the suit. I love it actually. It looks fine. However, it ain't no Hokkaido landing version, if you know what I'm saying. You know, if you know, you know. So let's get this bad boy open. And then we can jump right into the review. So this is a standalone release, retailing for around 100 and... Okay. Now a lot of people were saying, oh, the eyes are wonky and the paint apps on the face are a little weird. Listen, we've been with this line for how long already? And things don't seem to really improve that much. You get the hits and then you get hit. So it is what it is. Alright. Looking at him so far, looks alright. Some people had issues with the articulation in the legs. We'll see. Let's get him out. No pieces are popping off, which is always a good sign. Let's get you out of your little plastic wrap, boy. Unfortunately, I never did get around to picking up the 1989 Bio-Goji. That was released not too long ago, because I already had the Light Sounds and, you know, the Triple K one. Yeah, and I never did get around to picking up the smaller scale version, which I honestly wish I did in hindsight. Hopefully when that gets re-released, or reissued, whenever that may happen, if it ever happens, I'll be able to get them. What we seem to have here is a beefy boy, one that does have issues, I'm sure. I really need a... Oh man, he's kind of stiff. Oh my god, his neck is stiff as hell. So, one thing I do notice right off the bat, he's got a really thick, baggy neck, and he does in the movie as well during the final fight. If you watch closely, you'll see the neck is a lot thicker and wider for some reason. I guess just for the added mobility that he needed during that fight scene. But yeah, I gotta take some hot water to this guy, and ooh, look at him posing like that promotional shot on the box. I don't think I hate him. I think I like him. But we're gonna heat him up. Okay, so issue number 1. His jaw wasn't moving. I kind of stressed it a little bit. Thankfully, I didn't shear any ball joints off, but as I tried to get the lower jaw back into the ball joint, his tongue fell out. Yeah. Thankfully, it also has a little ball joint nub, so I gotta assemble him back together. Alright, so out of the box, my guy has some issues. In terms of engineering, the left leg was really tight, uncomfortably so, and it was like ultimate burning Godzilla tight. And so what I did was I heated him up, removed the leg, and I applied some dish soap in there into the socket. It seems to be more of an issue with the actual ball joint for the leg though. So I also applied some of that dish soap to there and to this ball joint. So I'm hoping to work it into submission, I guess. I mean, you hear that? How tight that is? Now, this is nothing new, but it's just a method amongst many. I don't have any shock oil on me. I know a lot of people prefer to use shock oil. I don't got it, so I'm not using it. Now, my main concern is also this thigh piece, which is meant to really help cover up some of the gaps. This is also causing the issue here with this left leg. So I'm going to put them back together and pray for the best. But I'm also going to get some more dish soap because I desperately need more. Alright, now that I got that more of that dish soap in there between the joints, it's moving a lot better now, a lot easier. Still not quite comfortable, but I also chalk that one up to the sculpt. Okay, I took nearly an hour, okay, not that much, but 45 minutes just to get this guy up and running. Problem was with the left leg and the lower jaw. Now, I don't want to get into that until I get to the articulation bit, so let's start off with the sculpt. Starting off with the head. And this is where the photos from China and some unsightly, very unattractive photos of this guy started popping up once he was released to the mass market. And okay, I get it. Not a lot of people are gonna enjoy the face sculpt here. It ain't no Hokkaido landing version, I'm just saying. But he looks menacing. He looks good, he looks angry, he looks pissed. Now, the thing that gives this Godzilla a bit of a unique look in terms of the sculpt of the face is that the face is kind of asymmetrical here on the cheeks, and more so on the right side where it's kind of like he's snarling in a way, so it makes one eye look bigger than the other. I know it sounds weird, but that's just how it's sculpted. It looks good. A little odd in certain places because of that whole asymmetrical almost design, and the brighter grayish paint that they did with the dry brushing or the wash, whatever, it really accentuates the features of the sculpt, but it's more so heavy-handed on the head and the face than the rest of the body, which is a little odd. I probably would have done without it, all things considered, but it, you know, Godzilla was really getting dusty in that scrap with Mecha King Ghidorah in Shinjuku. It is what it is. You can either take it or leave it. You either love it or you hate it. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. The rest of the face sculpt looks good. The eyes on mine, thankfully, the decals don't look horrible. They don't look bad at all. They actually look like they're looking straight up ahead, which is always good. The teeth on mine, I've seen some pictures of sloppy paint on those. Mine look fine. They look a little dirty, they look a little gringy, but it kind of goes with the flow of the figure. I really don't mind it too much. The rest of the body is as expected, really nicely sculpted, of course, because of all the muscle definition on this Godzilla in particular. Very strong, very muscly. This guy was imposing. He looked intimidating, and that was the best parts of the Heisei Godzilla. And this one in particular, the suit on this one has a really thick neck. During that final battle, you can see how baggy that neck was. Overall, the rest of the body looks good. The arms are nicely sculpted. The paint on the claws of the front hands are a little weird. You see, I got one where the shading on the claws is done nice on the left side, while the right side hand doesn't seem like there's any shading applied. So that kind of sucks. On the feet in particular, the claws on the toes look good. The shading is done well there, and it's actually consistent, unlike the claws. And the dorsal fins, look about as good as you would expect. No complaints there. Everything is nice and gray with a nice gradient towards the middle tissue of that dorsal fin, and jutting out it gets to that lighter grayish color. I did notice some paint discrepancies here with the base of the tail. It has more of a cream beige color, while the rest of them kind of just have that smoky gray, but not a big deal whatsoever. And as you move down the tail, of course, everything else looks about as good as it can. And yeah, this guy has thick thighs. And okay, let's move on to the articulation, where a lot of people have points of contention with this guy. Me in particular, I had some issues, but I'll tell you about them now. First off, the lower jaw. This was a pain in the butt, especially the tongue. I tried to close the jaw all the way, and for some reason on this Godzilla in particular, it's not happening. You try closing that jaw all the way, it's gonna get loose, it's gonna fall out. The tongue is probably gonna pop off as well, trying to get that sucker back in there. I had no crazy glue, so I had to use some blue sticky tack. And yeah, try not to close that jaw all the way. It's just not built for it, unfortunately. For the head articulation and the neck, has once again that really thick neck, and it's for a reason. It's for when Godzilla looks up at whoever's flying at him, or Mecha King Ghidorah. He was looking up a lot in this final scene, and you can really tell that they engineered him in a way where you can really get him to look upwards, and that's always good. You're gonna notice that some of the joints, especially around the neck, maybe the arms, the waist, can be a little tight. It's just because of the material they used. It's not a big deal. I have no problems with the arms on mine. They move really well, especially at the biceps. You can hear it very squeaky, but it is what it is. Hands around ball joints. Can rotate them all the way around. No issues there. The waist, very tight on mine, but it's only gonna turn so much. Thankfully, there's clearance here with the dorsal fins. There's kind of like a gap there, which is always good. You get them to bend forward a little bit. That gap shows, not a big deal, in my honest opinion. But yeah, you get him to hunch over, and you can have him look down a good amount. As good as you can get, really, honestly. And really just have him mean mugging his foes, or whoever he's facing off in your photos. And the legs, the thighs, I talked about this already, but this is where the biggest issues happened. My right side articulates just fine. People were saying it's a step backwards to Final Wars Goji. Yes, it's not unexpected that it'll be that way. Final Wars Goji, by design, was more flexible, probably the most flexible suit they ever used. Heisei Godzilla, kind of stiff. The issue was with my left leg. Those little sleeves there that prevent any gaps from showing kind of got in the way and caused, I guess, some friction. It's just gonna happen, but thankfully now that I put some of that dish soap in there, I can get this leg to move around. Sure, it's squeaky, that's also the dish soap working, but I don't know. It's not that bad compared to what some people were saying. I get it, it's not as flexible as the Final Wars Goji. A lot of people were hoping that we would be getting a more flexible Heisei Godzilla. That's not the case, unfortunately, but you can still get him some nice poses. I really do like how I could get this guy to look like he's really walking. The tail, about as flexible as a Heisei Godzilla tail will be. This popped off. It will always pop off if you put some stress on it, but you know, ball joint pops right back in. It moves, it grooves. It's got a decent amount of articulation. Would I like it to be a little more flexible? Yes, of course, but that's just the nature of the plastic they used, the material they used for this Heisei Godzilla. I like how I could get him to really look like he's walking forward here. Alright, so that's in terms of articulation. Does this guy come with any accessories? Of course not. It's a standard release, no beam, no nothing. Which is unfortunate, but at this point, do you expect anything more? Size comparison wise, here he is with the SH Figuarts Ella King and the SH MonsterArts Gigan. Here he is with the Triple K 1989 Godzilla and the original release, the 1994 Godzilla. A lot of people were suspecting that it was reusing parts from the 89 release. That's already been debunked. Honestly, I think that this release, it's not the best Heisei Godzilla they've ever released, unfortunately. I still don't have the 1989 version, but even if I did have the smaller version of that, I would probably put that one over in terms of design and looks. This is a victim of circumstance. I would have much preferred if they released the Hokkaido landing version. It's okay. It gets the job done, however, it's kind of a step back in certain respects in terms of like articulation here and there, and just the overall sculpt of the face, the neck. I'm not really digging it in certain spots, but it'll be a nice piece to go with your Mecha King Ghidorah if you don't already have him. Granted, for like $100, he comes with no accessories, so you do what you will with that. Me personally, would I recommend him? If you're a hardcore collector, sure. If you're a casual collector, you can probably go with a better Heisei Godzilla. Anyways, that's my review. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope it was helpful and enjoyable for all of you. If you liked what you see, hit the like button. This is going to show up on the end card anyways. Alright, everybody. See you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed and would like to see more videos like this, hitting the like button, sharing the video, commenting, and subscribing will help us defeat the evil algorithm. And if you enjoy video games, I have a dedicated channel just for that, so I hope to see you there.